Splatoon was the first Switch game in Japan to hit 2 million sales, not including digital. It sounds like wow.
Yeah,
that's from Nerd Tender.
Yeah, I think that's. I'm gonna wait for you to drop that volume. Okay, I think that's insane.
In the membrane.
Wait, 2 million. First game to hit 2 million sales. How?
What do you mean how? They sold them in stores. What do you mean?
Well, Zelda has to have hit more than.
Did it?
I don't know.
Let's look it up while you say. Okay, we'll presuppose that he's correct.
Yeah, but I feel like that's wrong. However, the sales that it has had in Japan, especially,
First game according to sources.
Oh, okay. First game to hit 2 million sales in Japan.
In Japan, this decade.
This decade.
So the past 8 years. Wow.
Okay, that's crazy.
That's nuts. That's according to Metro Gaming. That's a reputable site.
It's not only interesting because it's a unique game in and of itself in terms of how it plays, and it was taking some risks just based on its play style, but first-person shooters, or well, it's not a first-person shooter, but third-person shooters, that's not exactly, I mean, from what I can gather, a particularly popular type of game in Japan. And I think what carries it and it makes it so accessible, not just in Japan, but everywhere with people who would maybe not necessarily play that type of game, is the aesthetic of it, the look, the art, the cartoony style.
Weird as hell.
Yeah. The squid characters and all that, the weird Nickelodeon mixed with anime look, the Jet Set Radio sort of almost, Shibuya back in the day sort of style. And I don't know, Nintendo hit that perfect mix.
Splatfest probably helped, right?
Splatfest probably helped too.
Having those events.
The events and the competitions. And it was just this perfect mix of unique gameplay and style that really just kind of hit everyone. And most, not all, but most people I know who wouldn't normally consider themselves a fan of this style of game, who did buy it, ended up loving it. So that's crazy to me to hear that. But the fact that it's done so well is I guess when you think about it, not that surprising.
Well, it also tells you that Nintendo's reigning supreme in Japan.
Oh yeah,
like insanely so.
Yeah, back once again.
So I mean, it's done great here, but Nintendo really never ever died out in Japan, versus here.
Yeah,
it never got to the low point. Even when you say low point here, you still had strong 3DS sales, even when the Wii U was pretty bad.
That's what I've always said. Even at their worst console-wise, their portables always did just fine.
Yeah, I think it's a phenomenon. I mean, I know Splatoon is somewhat popular here, but you think about different cultures, that maybe it hits them a little bit harder than us. And yeah, like Ian says, it just touched upon a combination of factors that make it the biggest Switch game, which is kind of weird to think about, because here it's probably not in the top 3 or 4 here, right? It's probably a little down there. You got the
I would say like
Mario Kart Deluxe,
Zelda,
Odyssey, Zelda.
Yeah,
maybe fourth.
Maybe fourth.
Maybe
probably fourth.
I mean, there has been a huge amount of games out, but So all right, interesting.